Hello and good evening once more from South Croydon. I am off on a long walk to gather some provisions. It is now 17 minutes past 9 and there is much to say. Yesterday was a hell of a day. I didn't actually get any work done. I think I managed to get moving around about 9 o'clock in the evening, and I was able to clean the kitchen, clean the bathroom, and do some washing and a little bit of sewing. But I woke up this morning feeling fantastic, and I've had a very successful day of work. So I've completed my target. I've finished for the day. And so now I am killing two birds with one stone. So I am going to gather provisions as well as get my exercise in. So I'm walking very fast for the sake of exercise. Hi guys. Right, so two things. First of all, while I was sewing, Mother knew that I was going to go to the shop. And she was a bit concerned that I'm going out so late on the street, and she's asking me, is it busy out there? Is there good lighting on the street? And I'm saying to her, it doesn't matter whether it's busy, whether there's lights or whatever. I need to go out. I'm going to go out. I am not afraid of what's out there. And for those who are familiar with the Bible, yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil. That's how I roll. Because if anything is going to happen to me, it will be as a consequence of evil. And we know, those of us who know that evil is a spiritual thing. And because we wrestle not with flesh and blood, we're wrestling with the forces of evil, spiritual darkness. So I like to think that I am spiritually prepped enough to walk wherever I feel I need to walk at whatever time. And should I meet evil, I expect evil to flee from me. I'm not scared of anything or anyone, because part of it is the presence that you carry with you. If you walk around and you're scared, then you will attract evil. It's a bit like a dog. If a dog can see that you're scared of it, it will bully you, right? So it is the same principle. If you walk around and you're scared, then you will attract evil if evil is out there looking for a victim. I'll give an example. I spoke to someone a couple of days ago, because people keep telling me that the police are stopping them or stopping people they know and asking them, where are they going? I have not met any police officers. And even if I posted on Facebook, I believe it was last Sunday, even if I were to meet police officers, they're not going to ask me where am I going, because of the way that I will present myself to them. So I can't understand why people are going and getting into conflict situations just because they're not wearing a mask. For me, that is not something that will happen to me, because I don't walk around with that kind of energy. But anyway, it's this, people who, it seems when I talk, people think that I think that I'm better than other people. But it's only in the way that, when speaking to people, it is a fear that they have within them that they try to transfer. So my mother's worried that I'm going out on the street this time in the night, and that I should have gone earlier in the day And we know that people get killed and robbed and all sorts of things happen to them at all times in the day. It doesn't matter whether you're out in the morning, afternoon or evening. If evil is going to be drawn to you to do you harm, then it's going to happen. So for me, my favorite times in the day is very early in the morning and late at night. Basically when it's dark, I prefer to move around on the cover of darkness because there's hardly anybody outside. And it's not because I'm afraid of people or anything like that. I just find it more peaceful. That's the reason why I will choose to go out at this time in the night. Even though people would presume that this is a time when you're more likely to get yourself into trouble. If you're going to get attacked or something. So that's the one thing. It's other people sort of transferring their fear. And people. So sometimes I don't like to talk to people because it's a case of them telling me I shouldn't do this and I shouldn't do that because they live in fear. It's a bit like with the virus. They live in fear. Even I offered to, I made a blind for someone a while back, and I offered to go and fix it. And the person didn't want me to come because they're afraid of the virus. And I just find it so ridiculous. But what can you do? If people live in fear, then they live in fear. But I'm not the type. Fear isn't in my DNA. So that's the one thing. The other thing, hello guys. The other thing, my sister's carer came around this evening. And she's been coming since November, so it's November, December, January. So it's 2 months now. And one of the things that I do notice, when people spend time around me, I start to rub off on them. So she's this type. She doesn't know how to say no to people. She doesn't like to hurt people's feelings. And sometimes I've said to her, look. You are within your right to say, whatever it is. And I call them customers. Hi. Hi, Kelly. I call them customers, the clients. And so she's got some of them. And I said they're just selfish, very demanding. They're telling her what time they want her to come. And, she starts work at 5 o'clock in the morning. And she's just one person. She can only be, if everybody wants her to come at 9 o'clock in the morning, she can only get to one person at 9. And so she was very pleased with herself when she came by this evening. And she said she had a go at one of them. And the woman was so shocked. She said, the people can hear us. We don't want to disturb the neighbors. And I said, and how did she conduct herself after? She said she was as quiet as a mouse, but she was very pleased with herself. So, obviously, I am the type. I wouldn't say I'm aggressive, but I'm assertive to the point where I do come across as aggressive, and I don't take nonsense. I don't take nonsense from anybody. And sometimes when people see you in full flow, so sometimes she'll come and she'll hear me on the phone talking to someone and I'm being really rough with them. Or even the other day she was there with my sister and she's sort of wanting to treat my sister gently, and I said no, let her try to do it herself because I know she's capable of doing it. And she saw how harsh I was. They say be cruel to be kind. And I think sometimes when people see you conducting yourself in that way, and they see that it doesn't actually do the person any harm, it actually inspires them to go away and think, what, I'm just roll over and let people treat me like rubbish. So she was very proud of herself, the fact that she stood up to I call them customers, like I said. She stood up to the client, and so she's not going to be taking any rubbish from anyone from here on in. And so another thing that happened similarly, I posted a comment on YouTube earlier because for some reason people think that Kamala Harris is going to become the first woman president, but she's not. That's not going to happen. I think if anybody's going to become the first woman president, it's going to be Meghan Markle, shock horror. And I don't think she's going to be elected. I think because the way she and Harry, who are both despotic, the way they've sort of, like the way she worked herself into the British royal family, and then she's decided she wants to be president, I think they're so dirty and so devious that they will come up with something, and she will be positioned in it will work out in such a way that she becomes the president. So I said that's the one you need to watch out for, because it is a bit like Hitler. If you ask yourself, where did Hitler come from? What background did he have? He was sort of just, at one time he was homeless, and next thing you know, he was chancellor, and next thing you know, he wants to take over the whole of the world. So these are the kind of people you would think to yourself, oh, that's never going to happen. But I come from a spiritual perspective, and I go on the vibes that I feel, the energy that I feel, and I think Markle is the one that, if people are thinking about the woman president, she's dangerous. She's the one that if they're looking for someone to do the dirty work, she's the one who's going to be installed. So I had this one person didn't like the comment that I made, and came and accused me of being a weak person, and just this childish language that people use. And she said something about, I bet you wouldn't say that to Meghan. Believe me, I would love to be in a room with Meghan Markle. By the time I'm finished with her, she would cry, and all ideas of becoming president would go out of her head. But it is one of these things, when you write and people don't know you, it doesn't translate in the way that it doesn't come across with the level of power that you have within you as a person. But just to go back and to say, Croydon is supposed to be like the worst place in London to be, where you can get, where they're killing people, they're shooting people, stabbing people and all sorts. And here I am, as you can see, walking around without a care in the world. So similarly, it's the idea where people, very weak-minded people who have nothing going for them, absolutely, when the system collapses, which it will do, it's going to take them with them. It's going to take them with it, rather. And so for me, whenever I get into situations where not as strangers, but just any random idiot, and we get into a situation, for me, I'm just using it as you would to, like you're doing a dissection. I use it to study, so I can, to study people and the level where they're at, and to try and ascertain why they can sort of, it doesn't matter what level they're on, the level of stupidity, where they can view themselves as above others. It's the same thing with Donald Trump. He was president for 4 years, and he's not finished yet. But every random idiot believe that they're cleverer than him, and that they could do a better job than him. And so this is one of the things that fascinates me with human beings. As I've said, see, I'm walking, I've got my phone in my hand, and ordinarily most people would be hiding their phone because they don't want somebody to come along and snatch it, or just trying to protect whatever valuables they've got on them. I don't do anything like that, and I don't expect anyone to come. The only thing that will happen, people will come and they will come by me, and I will greet them. They will greet me, but I do not, under no circumstances, do I fear what anyone can do. Right? So I study people, I study situations, and like I said, Harry and Meghan Markle are very dangerous people, and I put them in the same category as Hitler. Right? And people would say, oh, you're saying they're Nazis. No, I'm saying they're very dangerous. They don't believe in free speech unless you're praising them. They only want people to praise them. They're despotic, and if somebody doesn't rein them in, or if people don't start taking them seriously, you never know what's going to happen in the future. So, it's just things like this. It's just literally about being the biggest, baddest person you can be spiritually. It's nothing about being strong physically to engage in physical fights. Because if you're spiritually, the bigger spirit wins. So if you're spiritually a spiritual monster after a fashion, nobody's going to approach you in the first place. So, like I said, this is why nobody has sort of been able to force me into a mask. Nobody's going to make me take the vaccine. And nobody is going to be sticking anything up my backside to give me a COVID test. None of these things are going to happen to me. And if people would say, oh, but you can't say that. Yes, I can. Right? Because, as I said, it's how you carry yourself. People will not dare approach you. Now, I don't really... I don't know if you can hear me huffing and puffing. It's kind of difficult for me to put across the importance. I posted last night about spiritual development, because like I said, I had a really rough day yesterday. When I say rough, I didn't get much sleep. I was dead on my feet all day, but I revived and I played catch up today. But it's just one of those things where if you don't know, like with my sister, people tell you need to show her love and compassion and whatever. No, she needs a swift kick up the backside because she needs to get better, right? That's what she needs to do. She doesn't need to sit there accepting her situation. She needs to recover. And so people don't like the way that I go about things. They think I'm not compassionate, I'm horrible to my sister, this, that and the other. But in reality, I'm even more horrible to myself. I push myself very hard. If it can be done the easy way, I prefer to do it the hard way, because my idea of doing that is, if I can do it the hard way, when it comes to doing it, or rather, if I can do it the hard way, when I can always do it the easy way. But should I be required to do it the hard way, and I've never put myself in a situation where I have to do it the hard way, then what am I going to do? So again, this is something, like I said, in due course, when society collapses, it's going to take a hell of a lot of people with it. And at the moment, all I'm doing, I'm just studying the situation. I can see where it's going, and it's it could happen. All right, so basically what's going on, I didn't expect it to be happening so quickly, but I can see what's happening. And for me, it's exciting. For a lot of people, they're going to be panicking because, like I said, there's no preparation. They don't have anything to... They have no foundation. They've not built on anything. So just to wind up, because I've arrived at my destination, as far as my mother goes, she's asked me to ring her when I'm on my way back. But for me, I take it like a comedy, because she'll be 79 this year, right? And I think if, again, I keep coming back to this thing about development. If you sort of, because even I've got people sort of messaging me, and these are people that I've known for many years, and they're still at that same level. So I've just taken to ignoring people. When I say ignoring, because I don't really ignore it, I just don't respond. So I've become non-responsive. But what's funny is when things start to happen, and then people start to say, oh, so what do you think's going to happen next? Because invariably, when things start to kick off, people do get in contact with me, and I think, so you were paying attention. So it's very interesting that at this time, mothers sort of taken an interest in that kind of way, and sort of worrying about me. It's like I'm nearly 55 years old, for goodness sake. Even when I was a teenager, I wasn't worried about I used to work in a nightclub when I was 19, and had to travel from one side of London to the next, and it was no big deal. Nothing has ever been a big deal for me. And so obviously, like I said, I'm all about development. So if I'm constantly seeking to move to the next level of development, then obviously you're going to end up in a situation where you're leaving people behind. But at such a time when the collapse happens, it's going to be very interesting. That's all I can say. It will be very interesting, but there's a lot of people who back themselves right now, and they are fools, basically. And they are the first. They like to mock others. They like to mock things that they don't understand, things that are above their level. And at such a time when everything goes belly up, I will be right there on Facebook, on YouTube, wherever I am, mocking. And it's not because I'm rejoicing over them, but rather than putting out, you see, you don't put an arm around people, you let them suffer. Because that's the only way that if people will not learn of their own free will, things have to happen, and you let them suffer. You don't go straight in and bail them out. You let them suffer first. So that's me with my little sermon there, if you want to call it that. So I'm going to say see you guys later, because now I've just got to pick up the bits and pieces and then head back and have a long 2 hours bath. Because what I say, keep young and beautiful and all of that. So you guys take care, and I will see you on Facebook. Bye bye.